Hi there, it's Beauty Junkie. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm getting into some Surratt eyeshadows and blush. I'm really excited. This is my second Surratt purchase ever, and I went ahead and got a palette and 4 eyeshadows and a blush. So I'm going to be swatching and trying this out with you today, and I'll be using my Dewdrop foundation in shade 3 again. So if you're into Surratt, welcome. Their eyeshadows seem really pretty. They have a lot of colors. They're available at multiple retailers. And their blushes, they have a ton of shades, some unique shades. So I'm really intrigued. I've heard really good things about it. A lot of you guys have told me that you love Surratt and you love their eyeshadows and all their eye stuff, blushes, so I'm really excited to get more into the brand and try these out. I mean, to me, like, even this, like, the square packaging and the palette, it looks like a Tom Ford quad. But I haven't tried it out, so I don't know what the finish is like, but this packaging is really crisp and clean and classy, and I really like it. So before I get into doing my whole face, I want to let you know what eyeshadows and blush shades I got in case you don't have these or you already have them, so you know what we're talking about. So this palette is really interesting because this is not magnetic, even though it's quite expensive. I believe this large palette is $25 and it's not magnetic, which I just assumed it was. It's actually, there's tape on the back of these, so these can't move. This is the final, you can't move it around, which I'm not really used to, so interesting. Hopefully I like these. You can pop them out though, there are little holes. So if you do want to change your mind, although I'm assuming you'd have to find a way to like glue them back in if you wanted to move them. Anyway. So let's go over the names. This is the Cherubique Blush. Cherubique, I think that's how you say it. Marin is the darker maroon shade. This is Zibeline. This is ingenue. And then the sparkly one is from their holograms collection. This is Cosmos. And you probably can't really see it, but there's some like pink shift in this one. So this is Cosmos, Ingenue, Marin, Zibeline, Cherubique. That's the shades that I'm trying out today. So let's start with the complexion. I really like Dewdrop foundation. I really enjoyed it so far. So let's start with the Victoria Beckham primer. I'm using Original. And I do think it helps smoothing out my foundation and just making my skin look really good. It doesn't help with longevity or anything like that of the foundation. Had to get my hair up out of the way. Now before I put on the Dewdrop, I'm gonna try using my Sicily blur powder first, just because I'm still experimenting with this technique of putting on a powder before foundation. And we're gonna see how this goes. I did a whole Sicily video with some new Sicily Complexion products, and this is one of the new ones that I picked up. It's a blur powder. You of course can put it on after foundation and concealer, but the trick is to put it on before all of that, and it's supposed to really work its magic that way. So I'm gonna try it again. Alright, onto the Dewdrop. I'm gonna be applying with my sponge as usual because I still haven't found a good foundation brush for liquid products. So I'm still using my sponge. I did get a new buffing brush from Sonia G. This isn't new to her, but she finally restocked, so I picked it up. And I like it, but it's not for cream, so can't use it. Funny about Real Techniques sponges is that, especially this one, when you first use it, it's super firm, and then the more you use it, the softer it gets. I think most days I could probably get away with just that, but I like to have a little bit more coverage on my forehead because I'm missing some areas, so I'm gonna put a little bit more. All right, I think that's a good layer right there. I'm gonna go in now with my Dior Forever Skin Correct, and I have it in the shade 1CR Cool Rosy. You know, this foundation does such a good job at like perfecting your skin in such a light way. I'm not sure I needed the blur powder underneath, but I do think it looks good. I can't complain. Yeah, I'm good with it. Skip ahead a few steps until we get to the blush part, and I'm gonna try the new blush. Alright, so skipped a few steps, now we're on to trying the Cherubique Blush. I had a little bit of trouble figuring out what color to get because I had a couple in mind, one that was a little bit more pink. This is definitely looking peachy pink. And I wanted to choose like a really safe color, a color I knew I would probably like and use pretty often. Just because, you know, I wanted to try out the formula. It seems pretty smooth and like I need a very little amount to get the color I want. So I have a feeling this would last me a long time. I actually think I probably over applied, but that is not too surprising with me. I think I will need to buff it out a little bit, but I think it's pretty. So it does have a little bit of glow. It's not like a matte blush. I don't know if you can see there's a little bit of shimmeriness, but it's really subtle. Go ahead and do a swatch on the back of my hand. You can see that sheen going on there, so not like a flat blush. Yeah, I would say this is very peachy pink. If you want more of a true pink, I think the color makes it seem like it's very pink, but it's very peachy. So that's nice. And you do get a little bit of glow from it, so it is very pretty. So I'm happy with that. I do want to put on a highlighter, and I want it to be a little bit pink. So I'm going to be using Benefit Cookie. Just a little bit of it. Such a strong highlight, I know. Probably a little bit too strong, but that's okay. I haven't used Cookie in a while and I really wanted to use it again. I'm liking it. I'm getting some glow. I'm gonna take my Grande Meteorites Powder in Light and use my new Face One brush to buff in this powder and just kind of make sure everything's all blended in nicely to use as a finishing powder. Make sure my blush doesn't look too packed on. This isn't like my favorite powder because I just don't think it color corrects really. It gives you a glow, but that's about it. But I think my blush looks better. So, mission accomplished. Onto the eyeshadows. Let's do some swatches. So, ingenue. We're gonna start here and go this way, clockwise. Yeah. So ingenue, don't think I'm saying that right. This is like a really light pink, but it's got some serious sparkle, and you probably cannot see that because it's a frosty one. Maybe you can kind of see it. I'm sure you'll see it on my face, but it is really light against my skin, but it is there. I can confirm it is there. And then we have Cosmos, which is a hologram shade, and this is one of those like iridescent pink shades, again, that you cannot really see. I could see this like as a highlight. In fact, I have highlights that look like this, but it's not quite like blinding. It's really pretty and very iridescent, but there's really no base behind it, so you can't see it that well. And then we have Marin, which is maroon. Ooh, that's pretty. And I just let's go ahead and do that again, because I put it over Cosmos. This is a really pretty shade, Marin. Just a wonderful nude, that natural shade that is a brown maroon. Really pretty. And then the last one we have is Zibeline, which is a wonderful kind of satin brown. Really pretty. So these are the same color, and you cannot see the light ones. So sorry about these swatches, but these shades are pretty, and we're gonna try all of them out on my eyes. It was kind of hard to pick shades online, of course, but I've heard really good things about this formula, and it does feel really smooth, like really smooth, especially these satin ones here. Now this more shimmery one, you can definitely feel the particles, but it's still fairly smooth. And then the hologram collection, yeah. This also feels smooth, so they're really pretty. So I'm gonna start with Zibeline, just kind of going across my lid, just to get started. And I'm not using a primer. I don't normally use primers. I'm trying to remember, but we're just gonna try this out for the first time without it, just to see what it's like. I mean, this feels really easy. It's pigmented. I think if you are new to this brand like I am, this is a really easy shade to use, and a classic shade that everyone can get some use out of, especially if you have some fair to medium skin. This is going to be a nice neutral color that you can work with, and you'll notice it is not a matte, definitely satin, but very workable and very easy and very pretty. Now I want to use Marin to create some definition. Ooh. Definitely pigmented. I was tempted to like pick some more dark shades instead of like two light, one medium, one dark, but you know, I don't want to do a whole palette of dark shades that I can't really use together. I wanted to create like a functional palette of colors. So Marin is a little bit deeper than I expected, but it is really nice and pretty. can definitely use a lot less product than I'm using right now. Going a little bit overboard just because I'm trying these out for the first time, and you don't need to use a lot of product. A little goes a long way. So I'm just getting used to the formula. They all have a sheen. Really, really pretty. Nice color. I think both of these work well really nicely. I do want to use all the colors, so we're going to use ingenue, whatever it is, and just kind of tap a little bit on the lid, kind of the inner part. Definitely some sparkle and some shine, and you can definitely see like the pink tone to it, but it's not like totally showing up. Like it's a sheer shade that has a lot of shine but not a lot of color behind it. That's probably why you couldn't really see it on my arm that well. But it's nice. I think if I were to choose shades, I would not pick this one again. It's nice. It's just not quite what I want with this look, because it's shiny, but it's not adding a whole lot to my eyes. Interesting. Okay. I do want to use the hologram shade in my inner corner. So this one you can see. Probably because it's that iridescent quality, and it definitely makes this look a lot pinker. Kind of like a subtle little Valentine's Day look we're doing here. A little bit early. Or maybe a little bit late. I think this might come out around that time, so something to think about. I actually want to try this shadow out wet to see what the hologram does. I know Surratt has some like black eyeshadows, and I think you're supposed to pair the holograms with those so that they like really show up. But that's not really my style. I know other companies do that sort of thing too, but I'm just not a fan of using black that much. Yeah, that is really pink and really pretty. Definitely, I have some shades that are like this, but this definitely is pink and shimmery and really pretty. Kind of want to take it across my eye a little more. I am liking the finish on that. Like, it gets attention, but it's like subtle and buildable. For the under eye, I think I just want to use that brownie shade Zibeline. I think if you wanted to make this a little bit more daytime, I would probably use less of Marin, because it really casts a shadow. It really deepens things up, but it is definitely one of those day to night transforming shades that just makes things a little smokier. So we're getting very smoky pink rosiness with this palette, and I think the cheeks go with it pretty nicely actually. We're all in the same sort of family here. I think the only other thing I would do is you could probably use, maybe I'll do that. I think I'll use this as a liner for my top lash, just for a little bit of definition on my lash line. Alright, now we have a little bit more definition. As I'm looking under my eyes, I definitely have fallout. I think it's probably a lot of that shimmer from these two pink shades, especially when I like use my finger. And then I did get some Marin dust from lining my eyes. It brushed away except for the pink shimmery stuff. That is definitely caught up in here. So I think I'm gonna go over this area with powder. That's usually how I clean up fallout. I don't like redo my entire face or anything, just because that's not really practical for me. I think these eyeshadows performed really nicely. I would love to try some more shades though. I think Marin is overpowering my face a little bit with this look, and I probably could have used a little more concealer under my eyes, and just maybe I just need to clean up a little bit, just because it's kind of in that tone where you get that black eye look. But it is a really pretty shade, no doubt. Just want to be careful about where it goes around the eye area, but I think I really like this look. Everything applied really smoothly. I think this is one of those like staple eyeshadow brands that some people know about and really love, and I think makeup artists really like this brand because they have a beautiful formula and finish. And when you just want to create, you know, wonderful looks, when you just want to create like just, it sounds weird, but like basic pretty looks, I think this is like a good go-to brand. Like, I used to get eyeshadows from Makeup Forever all the time back in the day, just because they had so many color options. I think their formula now that I've tried a lot of other brands is okay. And I know people used to like rely on Makeup Geek to get a lot of their like basic shades. I do want to try their matte formula to see what that's like. I kind of knew like, oh, this is going to be all satin or shimmer. But I do want to try their other formulations. But I'm really happy with this look. I do want to put on some mascara so you guys can see the final look, and I will do my lips and I will be right back. Alright, this is the final look and I'm very happy with the result. So I used some mascara and I put on my Lisa Eldridge Velvet Blush and Lip Liner. They're matching. It's a little bit like red, really red looking right now. But I like the combination with like the really pink shimmery color. I think this would be perfect for date night, whether you're going out or at home, whatever you want to do. For Valentine's Day, I think this would be a really pretty look. This came about on accident, really. I didn't really plan this out. But these are just the colors I picked. You could certainly do more nude or more pink if you want to be a little more matchy with the eyes, and because of the hologram color, that really kind of stands out and your eyes just really drawn to the shimmer. If you want that to be the focus and not the lips, that would totally work as well. So going back to like foundation, just because I tried the primer with this foundation, that blur powder primer thing, whatever it is. I think I need to relax a little bit on powder right now in the winter because I see a lot of dryness around my nose. That I think it looks a little exaggerated because I put so many layers of powder on. So I put the blur powder, then the foundation, setting powder, and then I put on the finishing powder. So those 3 layers is a little much for me, and my under eye also doesn't look too flattering, and my lines are a little more exaggerated, so I think I'll have to do 2 powders max and not do the finishing powder. But I will say my blush looks a little bit better because I over applied it because of the finishing powder. So I don't know, trade-offs. I do tend to get dryness around here if I exfoliate too much and not hydrate enough, or do too much retinol and not enough hydration. So this can be like a problem area for me anyway, but those are just my thoughts. I think the blush is really pretty It does have a glow to it, but the formula is excellent. The eyeshadow, the formula is great. I want to try some different, the matte shades I'm curious about, just to see how those apply. But this palette right here, I mean, I'm happy with everything. I'd say my most disappointing shade, as I said, was ingenue, because it just was a little hard to show up, and it's very shimmery. With like not a lot behind it. I would have maybe appreciated a white behind it, just something to get it to stand out a little more. These are not cheap shades. These are like what, over $20 a piece. So I want every shade to work really well, and that one just didn't quite do it for me. I got sparkle, but I want a little more color. Now this doesn't have a lot of color, but it's very shiny and you can really see it. So yeah, but the other shade's really pretty. This is definitely more of a nighttime shade for my skin tone, but I made it work. I think this is definitely like a date night look, a date night palette, but you can definitely make it more daytime by not using this one as much. Just very lightly, maybe just for liner, or just use it very sparingly in the crease. But they are really smooth, so I do want to try more. And I like the blush, so I'm a fan of Surratt. Definitely one of those brands that not everyone talks about. They're not marketed as well, but I think they're really good. So if you are on the fence about Surratt, don't be. Just try it. Try something. The dewdrop everyone likes, the blush, the eyeshadows everyone likes, so you can definitely start there. So really glad I made these purchases. Let me know your thoughts below, what your favorite eyeshadow and blush shades are from Surratt. I would love to know. And let me know what else you are excited about with this brand. If you like this video, click the thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.